what's up guys, and welcome to FearFlix. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 1990 film Jacob's Ladder, starring Tim Robbins, and it's directed by Adrian Lyne, who you may know as the guy who did the film Fatal Attraction. This is one of those movies that's kind of on the fence as far as what genre you can classify it as. You know, some people could call it a horror movie, some people call it, psychological drama, psychological horror, psychological thriller, whatever you want to call it. It's a very psychological movie.
Psychologically boring.
I concur.
What?
What do you mean you concur?
I agree. That's what concur means.
Boring. Give me a break. I've always really liked this movie. I've always thought the writing was really good on it. The characters are developed well, in my opinion. It's directed well. It's filmed well. It's there's not a whole lot you can say about as far as the filmmakers and the people who made it, other than I think that the film was made well. It's a very psychological film, like I said, and I think it's effective. The movie was obviously scary enough and effective enough to inspire the people to create the Silent Hill franchise, which those games were inspired by this film.
Now it makes me want to play the game a little less than I wanted to play them before.
Give me a break. How does it make you want to play the game less?
Because it wasn't scary at all.
No. I don't think...
There was one moment where I jumped, but only because it got from really quiet to loud.
It's not about jump scares. You gotta understand that. It's not jump scares.
It was creepy at first. It was creepy at first. But then it just kind of felt like it was really dragged on.
You expected it, but you didn't expect one part of this movie.
All the creepy shit that happened?
No,
a little bit. Once it started happening a lot, I was just like, alright, something creepy is gonna fucking happen.
90% of it you didn't expect.
I didn't know what to expect with it, but it's not the part that bothered me. It felt like it was just dragging on.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like it was the same type of thing happening, and they were just stepping it up with each little scare that was happening. They hit like a new extreme. They were trying to get a little...
plot.
Oh, yeah.
Well, either way, we can continue this when we get to the plot side. It should be interesting. But I think overall for the credits for me, I'm just going to go with a solid B.
Oh, I'm going to give it a C minus.
Directing and writing style, because I did like the plot, I did like the writing, I liked the idea of it. I definitely
This wasn't played out good.
I'll give it. Yeah, can't get the mark right. There we go. See,
played out well. As far as the characters for this movie, I enjoy the characters. Obviously the most interesting character in this movie
was all one of them.
Obviously the most interesting character in this film is Jacob Singer, played by Tim Robbins. And, I think he plays this role really well. This is a guy who is absolutely who was in Vietnam, he was absolutely traumatized, and he's seeing these horrific things, and he constantly has to live through his life. He doesn't know what's real and what's in his mind. He feels like he can't trust anybody, and he really pulls that off well, especially in the scenes like where he's being put in the bathtub and being filled with ice.
That's an awful feeling.
The way he's acting, you can tell. You really feel that he's going through like a traumatic experience. Like, especially after when he finally wakes up and he's lying in the bathtub and his eyes are bloodshot, and it's just, you can see the pain in his eyes, the pain that he's going through, and the shock that he's in. So for me, the supporting cast is, it's good, it's decent, but I think the main show is stolen by Tim Robbins. I think he does the best job acting-wise in this movie.
Nobody else really had to act.
Yeah.
It was just him.
Yeah, it was. Huh?
What are you talking about?
Just him with a few side characters. And his wife.
They didn't really need to be acted out really too well.
They were just kind of there.
What does that even mean, though?
He was the only character that was ever developed throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, he was the only one.
His family was developed.
Not really. You saw Macaulay Culkin
just
for
said
like
they
10
are.
seconds out of the thing.
It was developed enough. You knew that he had an ex-wife, that he had been kicked out.
I was a little slightly confused because there was like 15 relationships going on at once, and then
There was only 2.
And then he had 3 kids, and then he had 1 important kid, and then
he kept having hallucinations that he was back with his ex-wife.
And technically, the whole thing. I mean,
The whole thing was a
Yeah.
hallucination.
I know that, but still.
The whole thing was like an imaginary flashback, half hallucination.
Before we find that out, I'm not counting the ending yet.
yeah.
I'm just going by what he's thinking at the
Yeah, I know.
in the early stages of the film. But I think overall for me, the characters, I think I'm gonna go with a B minus. Slightly above average for me. I'm sure they'll disagree, but
Go ahead, Darren.
For the characters, for me, for a movie to be, or any type of thing need to be good for me, I need a lot of characters, not just one. Even though the one that they had was good, I mean, he didn't do a bad job.
there were plenty of characters in this movie. You
There were
just didn't
plenty of
understand.
characters. They were all side and not mentioned
they were,
really.
like, most characters
sorry, they
had like,
mentioned.
There
if
were-
you add all the characters together besides him, they literally had like 15 minutes of them, and then like
Yeah.
an hour and 20 minutes of the main character.
They gave you enough they gave you all that you needed to further the story.
They
Did-
furthered
did
his
you-
story,
did-
not theirs. That's what I
They
mean
were-
by
they
they
were part
weren't
of his
developed.
story.
Alright, well anyway,
Story.
my rating, I'm just gonna go
You
for
didn't really need to know any more about
another
them.
C minus for the characters.
I did like his character though. I did like.
Yes,
the main
that's why I
character.
gave it a C minus, but I mean, yeah.
That's why I'm not gonna give it a C minus. I'll give it a C.
As far as the plot for this movie goes, I really like the plot because it's very unique. There aren't many, at least not to my knowledge, there aren't many films dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder and really this after effects of the supposed experiments that the government conducted on soldiers during Vietnam, which apparently actually happened. Of course, the government still to this day denies that.
They're always gonna deny it.
Yeah.
Nobody ever really knows. I mean, that's one thing.
I mean, using that as a device for, a horror film, if you want to call it that, I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
in
it's
my
a good
opinion.
idea.
It's unique, using, these hallucinations and everything, using it as a plot device for a horror film is smart, in my opinion. And I think that they do it pretty well. You really feel that he's seeing, that you don't know what's real and what's not. You go through the whole movie wondering, is this in his mind? Is he going crazy, or are these things? Is he actually seeing these things? Is there some kind of crazy government conspiracy going on?
Yeah.
And it really leaves you wondering the whole movie.
Yeah, I like that they, that's the one, that's probably the highest thing I could say about this for me was the plot itself was my favorite part. I just don't think it was really played out that great.
It wasn't executed well.
It wasn't.
It was
ex-
too.
To me, it wasn't.
It was
it's
too
just,
dragged. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was too slow. The entire movie. I mean, I get the idea of you don't know what's real and what's not, but it's just get to the point.
Yeah,
I-
it was just.
It just went
I'd rather
too
have him
long.
found out halfway through what was going on, and then more creepy stuff to happen. Actually, like weirder stuff to happen. Than
I think they
You
should have
expect-
added more creepy stuff in order to go with it more.
I mean,
Maybe
they
have
could've.
more demons show up in random places.
They could have, they could have gone more extreme with it, but
I think that would have made it better.
it would have made it a little less like.
I think
Come
they were,
on.
I think they were probably thinking that they didn't want to go overboard with it. I think that they wanted to go a little more subtle
But
with
at the
it.
same time, the
I
power
didn't
of
think-
the mind,
I didn't think they would go too overboard if they added a few things. I mean, if you're going over the top, the 50,000 same explosions and the cars exploding, they could have less of that, more demons. Less explosions, more demons.
There were hardly any explosions. I don't know what you're talking about. There was all the.
In the beginning, the same explosion
90%
was
of
being
the-
replayed like 8
90%.
times.
They were being 90% of the explosions were sounds. You just heard explosions. You didn't see
Yeah.
most of those.
That's what he
explosions.
means.
Yeah,
He's
you didn't
saying
see
they were
those.
just
So why is he
annoying.
comparing it? You're comparing it to Michael Bay.
I don't know why he did
Michael
that
Bay's
either.
not gonna let you only hear an explosion. He's gonna show you every aspect of that.
And it's
every-
gonna look like a nuclear bomb went off.
Yes.
It was an original and great idea for a plot. I just don't think it was played out and executed that well. That's all I have to
I
say about it.
agree with them.
Sure you do. I'm gonna give the plot a B+. Very unique, well thought out, executed well in my opinion.
Go ahead.
I didn't find it boring.
I'll give my rating towards the plot. I'll be a little generous, and I'll give it a B-. Above average, and if it was played out better, it would have been like what he said, a B+ in my category, but not so much for me.
That's fair.
Like I said, I did like the plot. I loved the idea of it, but because I felt it just dragged way too much, I'll give it. And I'm being nice too. Is a C plus.
Don't be nice.
I'm
I want to
being
know
nice.
your actual opinion so I can tear it to shreds. Go
No,
ahead.
that is my actual opinion.
That's my
because
actual opinion,
I love the idea of it. I just didn't like the way it was
That's the
played
best
out.
part of this. The best part I had going for it was the plot.
Would have totally been an A had it been done the right way.
As far as the ending for this movie, I really love the ending. I'll admit the first time that I saw this movie, maybe even the first couple times that I saw it, I didn't really get it. I didn't really get the meaning that they were going for and the overall message or whatever you want to call it. Pretty much we find out at the end of the film that Jacob Singer is still in Vietnam. He's been in Vietnam the whole time and he's been dying pretty much the whole movie, you know. Everything that he's been seeing is what's the last images that have been going through his mind and until he finally dies at the end of the film. And once you realize that, once you come to that realization that he's dead and that he's been in Vietnam the whole time, you start to put things together that have happened throughout the movie that you realize, well, wow, you know, this chiropractor was kind of like an angel because every time they showed him, there was always this light above him shining down on him, so he's kind of like his angel for him, you know, guiding him through. When he was in this hellish hospital, he was the one that came busting in, you know, breaking him out of the place.
I'll beat your ass if you come there. What do you call this? Just burn him at the stake. What do you?
Exactly.
Come on.
Yeah, and I love the twist at the end where his son comes in. His dead son, played by Macaulay Culkin, ends up being the one to help guide him.
I thought that was really weird, seeing the Home Alone kid.
Yeah, I mean, seeing that kid do anything is kind of weird.
Yeah. That felt really out of
I mean,
place.
this is before he did those movies.
I know, it's still just really
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
He was very young, but you know, he didn't really have much of a part in this movie. Thankfully, 'cause they probably would have brought down the movie for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's that great of an actor, unless you know.
And he was just a lucky bastard being with Mila Kunis for as long as he was.
Yeah, I really did love the ending overall. I don't know what you guys thought about it.
I liked the ending. That was probably the best part of the movie. I thought it was a great idea having the whole thing just being an hallucination or whatever's playing off in his mind. In the flashbacks you see of him being in Vietnam, or he's actually waking up and having slight consciousness and seeing what's going on. I thought that was a great idea.
For me, I kind of saw that coming because they hinted at it so much during the actual. Like, I thought he was dead or dying.
They did hint at it
while I was
a lot.
watching the movie.
I just didn't like the part where they had the fortune teller at the beginning.
Like,
yeah, that's like
you're dead.
Yeah, that's what kind of gave it more of a way for me. It took away the surprise at the end.
I mean, at the same
he's
time,
dead.
it seemed like she was just kind of flirting with him. So I mean,
Yeah.
it would throw someone off.
But I think that was a mistake having them do something like that, because I think if they were going to do that, it should have been a lot more subtle than that,
Yeah.
rather than saying, according to this, you're already dead. You know, it should have been a lot more subtle than that, and not just be like, I think that you might actually be dead. And it's pretty much, smacking the audience on the head, like,
Like, hey, this fucker's
Yeah.
dead.
yeah.
And so for me, the ending wasn't as great for you guys as it was for me. I would have liked it more if he actually survived and he was dealing with all these experiments and stuff going on in his head. He actually was hallucinating, rather than him just being on his dying breath and seeing all this happen in his head.
I mean, a lot of it you could contribute to. This is what probably he would have done if he had, survived out of this.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, instead of doing it the way they did, I would have liked it if it was like that and something else happened at the end.
When he was dying, he was thinking about, these experiments that have been conducted and wanting to get answers and everything, which he probably would have sought answers.
Yeah, I know. I understood what they were going for. I just thought it was a little too I kind of saw. I either thought he was dead or something like he just wasn't alive at all, or something weird was going on. And at the end, I kind of saw that kind of coming. But it wasn't terrible. I just kind of saw it coming.
Yeah, it's a nice ending. Kind of reminds me of like the Sixth Sense kind of twist.
Yeah.
For me at the end, except they didn't really give it away in the Sixth Sense like they did here. So I think for the ending and my overall final rating for this movie, I think it's a good movie. I enjoy psychological horror, psychological drama, whatever you want to refer to it.
I normally
So
do.
do I.
I
love
normally
psychological
do.
movies, not this one.
Well,
Yeah.
It's just too boring.
I didn't find it boring one bit. I have more patience, I think, with these types of movies than you guys do, and that's not a criticism. But I think I might be able to sit down and just let a movie soak in, and you guys.
Whatever you say.
I'm just saying.
I can. It's just when you tell us that it's a horror movie, we expect it to be completely something else. I mean, I get it. You said psychological horror movie, but at the same time, you don't expect to be paying attention
Well,
for
what
this
do you think?
entire time.
What do you think a psychological horror movie is? It gets in your head. You gotta
Yeah,
pay attention.
but there was no horror in it. There was like 5 seconds of horror.
That's your opinion.
Every 15 scenes.
Yeah, but you don't know when it's coming. That's the idea. It's not supposed to be.
Yeah, but when it doesn't happen at all, or it happens so scarcely throughout the whole
And
movie.
when the horror did happen, it felt like it was really random.
That's the idea. That's
Well,
what
yeah,
it wasn't random in a good way, but
what
it
makes
was
it
like
creepier to me is when it's totally random.
But they should have done it more.
It would
to
have
keep you on the edge of your seat.
You'd be criticizing it more if they had done it more often.
I
Because you'd be saying that it got old. You'd be saying
Not
that
really.
they were rehashing
Oh,
doing the
do
same thing over
different
and over
things.
again. Just like I said, you'd be saying the same thing though.
I
That it got old. That the hallucinations and everything got old.
Not really, because that's the whole thing of PTSD.
Yeah, I know that.
I wouldn't have said it got old. I would have understood. I get it.
There's certain times where it gets old, and there's certain times where it needs more.
In my opinion, the scares were subtle, and that's one of the things I liked about it. You know, I think it's
so subtle to the point where you're not even scared.
In his opinion, in his half asleep mind. But
yeah, I was awake through this one.
I almost lost consciousness during this.
But you know, overall, like I said, I enjoyed this film. You know, it's not for everybody. It's one of those movies you really gotta kind of let soak in, pay attention to, and just, you know, focus on it, you know, and just try.
Right.
It's one of those movies you gotta try to understand, you know, and it's not for everybody.
Believe me, there's a lot of movies like that I actually love.
I'm not criticizing.
No, I know. I'm just saying, there's a lot of movies like that I love because I don't go into those movies thinking I'm gonna get like scared shitless throughout it. But you guys, when you first introduced it to me, you guys said how scary it was and all this.
I didn't go overboard saying like, oh my god, this is fucking terrifying. You know, it's not.
Dan did.
It's not go at balls to the wall like gonna make you.
But that's what it made.
Man.
That's what you guys made it seem like.
He probably did more than me.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because he went into.
If you let me go into this objectively, then I would probably be perfectly fine.
How did I not let you go into it?
It wasn't just you. I'm not saying you. I'm saying Dan when he explained it to me.
I let him go in. He went into it the same exact way.
As me?
Yeah.
What? Like you're gonna get scared shitless constantly?
That was a horror movie. You know, all I had to tell him was that this is inspired in Silent Hill games. He was like, sign me up.
I went into it thinking I was gonna get constantly scared, and it just didn't. When it didn't happen, I was disappointed. That's really what it was. That's why the ratings are so low for me.
All right. Well, maybe from now on, I'll just not tell you anything about it. But you know, like overall, I think for me, my final rating for this movie, I think overall, you got a problem?
No.
I think overall, I'll give it a B-.
All right. Well, I'll give it an average rating. I'll go with a C.
I thought you were gonna put a minus for a second.
No, I'll just average. If I was actually, if we didn't watch this at like 2 in the morning, I might have been more awake for it, and I might have enjoyed it a little bit more. But I think half of that's the movie's fault, half of that's my fault. But I like the idea of the movie. The ending wasn't that bad. It's just everything else wasn't so great.
Like I said, I love the plot. I liked the ending. I thought the ending was actually really well done. I didn't have any complaints about the ending at all. Just had the execution throughout the rest of the movie, plus the lack of characters. I don't know. I felt like this one. Well, actually, I don't know where you could add more main characters into it. So the characters were.
I don't know if we even should have had a character's cat. We could have just
could have just put his name.
Yeah. We could have just wrote him down.
Well, his name is in the friggin' title.
You could have just erase the S, put character.
I think there were plenty of characters. You didn't need to have them all developed.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I get where they went.
They gave you enough. I think if they had gone too much into it, would have been like. Oh,
that would have been too dragged out.
It would have been like, all right, who cares about these people? You know.
But I didn't think it was a bad movie. I just didn't think it was a great movie. That's why I haven't gone lower than a C throughout this entire thing. So
I almost did.
So I'm gonna go ahead. I'll stick C plus. Entire rating, because I thought it was a good movie. and had I known that I had to actually pay attention throughout this entire
Oh,
thing,
come on.
I would have
You're
been
really
fine.
gonna blame
I'm
me?
not blaming
Yes,
you.
you are.
I'm
Yes,
not
you are.
blaming you. No, because
had I known that I had to pay attention to watch
that's
this
not
movie.
that's not how I meant it. Because you talk like whenever I hear like the Silent Hill games, I know those are scary as hell. So I assume every corner this dude's gonna see something crazy.
All I said was that this movie inspired the Silent Hill games. A lot of the things that he sees
Which
in the
I
movie
see.
are
No,
in the
I
games.
do see that. I see how it inspired the game.
I didn't say there was a Silent Hill game movie, you know.
No, yeah, I know
It
that.
probably would have been better.
I doubt it. The Silent Hill movie sucked.
There's a movie?
It was 2.
Oh, well, I just thought if they actually made a movie, it'd be better than this one.
Well, he might like it better.
Maybe.
Well, it's certainly it's an interesting movie, you know.
He might hate us now.
No, I don't hate you. Just don't respect you. So this is it's an interesting movie, you know, if you're looking for a more psychological movie, or a more slow burn movie.
Bring a pillow.
Or lots of Red Bull.
If you're looking for, all right, that's it. If you're looking for a smart horror film, this is for you. If you're not looking for a smart horror film, then you're them. Okay? So go check this movie out. It's an enjoyable movie. If you hate the government, it's even more enjoyable. And I hate the government, so I love this movie.
You might not want to say that.
I hate the government.
That's a bad idea.
You know you did it.
I don't hate your government.
But anyway, thank you for watching this episode of FearFlix. I'll put a link in the description to my buddy's channels here, Simply Stimpy and King Daronitis. Go check them out. Awesome stuff, awesome channels, awesome people. And please subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Please like this video, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of this review. If you've seen the movie, let us know what you thought of the movie.
How awful it was played out.
Let me know how genius the movie is and how right I am and how wrong they are. Thank you for watching FearFlix this summer. It's been a fun ride, gentlemen.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Fun
More to
ride.
come, just don't know when.
More to come, just don't know when. So
I'm in college.
guess you
I
can
gotta vanish.
guess you can call this a season finale. The season finale of FearFlix. So it's been a fun ride. Go watch some more horror movies. Let's celebrate horror together, and I will see you guys next time. Oh boy.
I can't wait for you to watch this.
What a journey that was.